Well, hello everybody. Danny back from Deepsouth Homestead. Taking a break right now, guys. It's been some pretty weather here lately. We've had some cool mornings. I'm telling you, that has been a blessing to us. Now, you can see right here beside me, I've got the old gate laid here up on top of some sawhorses here. That's what we use as a old field gate to lay our onions, our garlic, and that kind of stuff up on to let it dry out good. I mean, some of our garlic this year, it's old elephant garlic. That stuff, you look, that is some big old bulbs now. That stuff has done fantastic. I got my parched pecans here. Thank Ms. D for the pecans. Man, there's nothing like eating parched pecans. I'm on the patio today, out behind the she shed, because I got a neighbor weed eating over there, and a neighbor over here doing something else, a neighbor over here doing something else. It's just more racket, and you're probably still going to hear a lot of racket even in the background here. It's crazy, but that's life. You'll probably hear a lot of birds. We have tons of birds here. With our permaculture we've got going on here, birds are everywhere. And I'm sitting here looking across my corn now, my Danny corn that I grow. Me and Wanda was looking the other day. It's about 10 feet tall now. It's a lot thicker than I like for it to be. A whole lot thicker, but it's only like a quarter of an acre. And I told her, I said, it's not going to make that much. And we want as much as we can for grinding and cornmeal and stuff. And we're just praying that the weather don't come in and blow it all down, because that's usually what happens here in the Deep South. Right now it's tosseling. It's just starting to put the tossels out on the top. So that's a good thing. We can get it pollinated and get it going before rain sets in bad and destroys it. Now, we had some good rain over the week. I think we ended up with, the best I could tell, if I remember correctly, we got 2 3/4 inches of rain over about a 3 or 4 day period, which was perfect. It was just spotty. Wouldn't rain all the time. It'd rain not hard down floods, just a good shower and move on, and then another shower would come and move on. And guys, for about 3 weeks here at Deepsouth Homestead, we've done nothing but bust our tail from daylight till dark. We've had so many projects going on. You saw the cooler. We finished that one, and we've got lots of other jobs going on here. I've got a track hoe here, been doing a ton of work. I've been sawing firewood, because here when you cutting firewood in the South, like especially at my age, you got to start about 6 o'clock in the morning, no later than that. And I usually end up having to stop by about 7 or 7:30, because the sun's already got up on some stuff, and I can't saw out there in this intense sun that we're having. This sun's just unnatural. It will start burning your skin just from the sun. And we've been in this past weekend now, was, unbelievably cool. I woke up, it was 57 degrees. That's just unnormal. That's not normal here in the Deep South for this time of the year. Because we've been in the high 90s with heat indexes around 105, for like a week or two. And I told Wanda, I said, matter of fact, we done a lot of our gardens done and over with, because the heat's done killed everything. And when you get over 85 degrees, plants don't set blooms anyway. So they bloom, but they really don't produce anything. And this is all part of what's beginning to happen. Why are we not being told by our country to prepare? You notice all these other countries are telling their people, stock up, get stuff, get ready. You're going to be doing without food. They're telling them in these other countries. Our country's not doing that. Our country's sitting back and is literally watching its people going to starve to death. I mean, that's where we're at. Now stop and think about something. Why would they not tell us? There's a good reason why they wouldn't tell us. Because they know the answer to that. If they went on national television right now, and the media said, we're fixing to run out of food, the government is urging everybody to stock up, you know what would happen? People would flood the stores. After one day, there would be no food nowhere. They would go out and panic buy and hoard and everything else. People would buy stuff they don't even need, and the prime example of that was when CV come through. People bought freaking toilet paper. Run us out of toilet paper. Paper towels. This kind of stuff. They didn't stock up on no good food to eat or nothing like that. They went and got toilet paper. I mean, that's like a poof in the head moment. You know, I'm like, what the world? They were more worried about their dirty ass than they was how healthy they were. I mean, this was freaking crazy. It just blew my mind. I told Wanda, I said, toilet paper? The number one thing we're running out of? Everybody's like, well, we got diarrhea. Do you really have it, or was you just thinking you was going to have it? You know? I mean, guys, I don't know. That was the stupidest thing in the world to me. But if the government was to step in and say, we have famine coming, and we need to stock up on food, number one, what would happen is everybody would run out and buy everything they could buy, and then the elites wouldn't have anything to buy, and they know that. There'd be shortages, and food would run out real quick, and the powers to be wouldn't be able to stock up for themselves. So what they have to do is create scares. They have to tell you, oh, you better watch the peanut butter from this number to this number. And you know what's funny about that? I had a subscriber sent me a letter, email, and told me that their peanut butter had that number on it, but it dated back to 2018. Now, how is that possible? That's why I tell you this stuff is scams. Because what they did, they pulled all this peanut butter off the shelves, and then people who had the peanut butter freaked out, threw it in the garbage, so they got rid of any storage they might have. And then some people was already eating their peanut butter, and they said, well, I ain't got sick or died yet, so I ain't worried about it. So they didn't even worry about it. I mean, there was so many things happened here. Guys, what happens is they pull that stuff off the shelves, and the elite take it underground and store it. That's what's happening. Create panic and scare, and take the people's food from them, because I have never in my life seen people as scared as people today are. Everybody's scared of something. What does the scripture tell us? Fear not. He's not giving us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. Fear is of the devil. God has nothing to do with fear. The only fear we should have is of God, who can destroy both body and soul. He tells us not to fear man, because man can only destroy the body. He can't destroy your eternity hereafter. I'm blown away by so many things that we fall so prey to. We're so gullible. We believe whatever they tell us. Oh, it's on the internet. It's got to be true. Well, I searched this out on the internet, and it says this, this, and this. Let me tell you something. AI has already altered everything on the internet to meet its agenda. What you read on the internet is probably false. Most of it is probably false. Now, that's to give you a prime example. time. Check the time on lots of different things. If you've got cell phones, computers, check the time on it, because time is time. Wanda and I have done it. We've done it with other people. It's all 2 or 3 minutes difference everywhere. I mean, everything. I mean, AI alters time for its own benefit. And it's altering everything, guys. Another thing I'm going to tell you, and I want you to listen to what I'm telling you here. This has been going on for years. I used to raise dairy goats. I sold the milk from the goats. I sold cheese. I sold butter. I sold all this kind of stuff. This is when I become privy to this now. This was back in, probably 2008 and before. And it's still today. The dairy industry, not every dairy in America, but I'll probably say 85% of all the dairies in the United States have diseases in them. They have diseases in them that causes Crohn's disease in people. People who have Crohn's disease, most of them usually were heavy milk drinkers or dairy eaters, because this disease is in all the dairy. And the government knows, and it's called Johne's disease, Johnenes, I believe is how you spell it. It's called Johne's disease. It's in almost every dairy in the United States. And the government knows that if they brought this out, they'd have to shut down all the dairies in the United States. People would be a mass panic. Even organic. Organic is, guys, I spoke with a guy who delivers feed to dairies. And he said, brother, let me tell you something. He said, I give the same feed to the organic dairies as I give to the other dairies. He said, there's no difference. He said, they're getting genetically modified feed just like anybody else, you know. He said, there's no difference. He said, it's all a play, I'm going to tell you. And I told him, I said, I figured that. I said, I didn't deliver no feed, so I didn't know. He says, I deliver to them all the time. He said, it's all the same stuff. He said, it's all just a marketing scheme. Don't be fooled by it. They all got the BHTs and all that kind of stuff in it. He said, now there are some dairies that don't. He said, but predominantly most of them do, that I deliver to. So everything is not what it seems. If our country, I got a big caterpillar on me here. I don't know what kind he is, but I don't want him stinging me. I don't even know where he came from. That's kind of interesting. But it's kind of interesting. Why is our country not telling us everything? Because they don't want to create mass panic in this country. The elite or the powers to be, the government, whatever you want to call them, they know it's there. They know all these problems are going on, and they are making provisions. And I'm going to tell you something. Once they have all of their stuff in order, and they think that they're well taken care of for X number of years, I'm not going to give you the number of years because I'm pretty much sure I could nail it. Let's just put it this way. By 2024, you can expect massive issues to have already happened. And they know that. So, everybody goes, well, I got time left. No, I didn't say you had time left. I said the issues would probably be manifested themselves to a point where they're of no return. They're happening now. If you're just starting out now trying to get into, you're good luck. Because you're fixing to see rationing on literally everything. They've already started with diesel fuel in a lot of places. I mean, I think $70 to $80 is the max that you can buy in lots of places. Gas is done starting to do that. Depth for the diesel fuels is already. I said in a briefing on that. They're going to cut the production of that by 50%. I mean, guys. We're trying. Not only have we been dumbed down, And when I say dumbed down, yes, I totally mean that. A person today does not even have the intellect that a person in the 1800s had. So, I mean, we've been dumbed down. We jump on the internet and think that just because the internet says it, that, oh, this is the way it is, you know. No, the internet is run by AI. AI has filled it with so much crap that is not true that the average person does not even know what truth is anymore. So, we're not being told the truth about anything because they know if they do, this country will go wacko. And yes, there's lots of shootings going on in this country and everything, and it's going to continue because they have an agenda. We're one of the only places left on the face of the earth where we're still allowed to have the Second Amendment, and they are trying their best to take that away from us. And they will eventually probably succeed at it if the one in the big house wearing the adult diapers has their way. Then the I can't say this because I'll get in trouble if I do. Our sovereignty has been sold out, let's put it that way. On a certain day this month of 2/2, our sovereignty was basically sold out. Actually, to be honest with you, it was sold out in January. I'm going to be honest with you, we were sold out in January, and it was rejected. Lots of other countries in the world refused to go along with what the W and the H and the O asked for. Well, you might know our country was like, oh yeah, we'll do it. A lot of the other countries is like, no, we will not abide by this. But our adult diaper leaders, they decided, yeah, I think it's good. We'll go along with it. And luckily, everything's been rejected up to this point. And I'm hoping that it stays that way. But in the back of my mind, I know the truth. I know it's not going to. But, people send me all these weird messages. Like, for instance, we put the video up about the walk-in cooler. Probably my number one comment, what are you going to do when the power goes out? How are you going to keep it cool? Danny, what do we do when the power goes out? I need to just do a video on this alone, but guys, I don't know where your minds are at if you ask those questions. If the power goes out, it just goes out. We don't use it. If the power goes out, you're not going to be able to get power. You may have a generator and it might run for a couple of days on some fuel you got stocked up on, but sooner or later you're going to run out of fuel. And people goes, oh, but I'm getting solar. Well, solar is not a bad option. Okay, let me just say this, but you got to hear me all the way through on this. I've got a video coming up on solar. I've got a few more panels that I got from a company, and I think right now it's a great alternative, but it's not the answer. Because let me tell you something, in the future, now listen to what I'm telling you, in the future, there's not going to be enough sunshine for solar to work. Now let that sink in for a minute. There's some things coming that's going to be blocking out a great deal of the sun. And it's solar panels are not going to be able, now they'll work to an extent, but to be able to power something and run something, it's not going to happen. And the northern and the central part of the country is going to be the worst hit. You're going to be a lot colder than you normally would in the next 3 to 4 years, 5 years, let's say up to the next 5 years. You're going to be a lot hotter than you normally would. Right now you're being inundated with rain. But in the future you're going to be begging for that rain. If all the information that I'm getting is accurate. Now down here where I live at, yeah, it's going to be hot. It's going to be bad. Severe hot. But you guys up north, it's going to be a hot y'all not used to. And if you don't have some way, it's not going to matter. Let me say this. A lot of people go, but what are we going to be able to do to stay cool? You're not. Okay? I've got to be blunt, guys. I've just got to say it the way it is. You're not. I'm not. If we don't go back to building structures, and it's too late now, really, to be honest. My house here, if I have no power, I can't stay in my house. My house is not designed. I mean, it's got sheetrock walls, and even though I've got some high ceilings in it, it's just not designed to not have AC running in it to keep it cool. I learned that during Hurricane Katrina. I couldn't even live in my house after Hurricane Katrina. It didn't damage the house at all. But there was no electricity, and my floors in my house buckled up, I mean, like crazy, and they didn't know water get in there. It's because there was no air running to pull the moisture out of the air because of the high humidity afterwards and the high heat. My floors buckled everywhere just simply because of humidity. The temperature in my house was way over 100 degrees. I slept on the porch in a tent with a little tiny fan blowing on me at night while the generator was running on the back deck to keep my refrigerator running, and when my fan would go out, I would know that the gas engine ran out of gas, and it would be time for me to get up and refuel it again. Now, the only advantage I had was during Hurricane Katrina, I had an endless supply of gasoline. I never had to sit in a gas line anywhere. I mean, I was well prepared. Now, that luxury doesn't exist. I'm not that prepared fuel-wise anymore. There's just no possible way to do it now. And guys, I won't be able to stay in my house if the heat gets that bad. I'll have to go to my cabin. My cabin is designed. When I designed it so that if it's 100, put it this way. Last year, the heat index got up to 126 degrees here. Wanda and I, just to see how it would be, we had not been in the cabin in a week, went over there, we spent the night in that cabin. We had a little tiny fan running off of a 12-volt battery pack that ran most of the night before it went dead. We slept comfortably in that cabin with the windows up and that little fan going, and did not suffer because of that massive heat wave, because the cabin is designed for that kind of heat. The point I'm making is the structures we live in today are not designed to take heat without some sort of an AC running to pull the moisture out of the air and keep us cool. They've all got sheetrock on the walls on the inside, and they will mold. They'll do just like mine did. The floors will start buckling, everything will start happening. I was without power for 26 days, no electricity, in sweltering heat and high temperatures. This will be the norm in the future. People ask us, why in the world did you build a cabin right here on your own property? That was crazy. No. That's my alternative to what's coming. I knew years ago it was coming. I tried to tell people and everybody on YouTube that this was coming, this stuff. And everybody, because it don't happen immediately, they don't believe. When God told Pharaoh to store up grain because the years of famine were coming, how long did it take before it hit? 7 years. For 7 years, they had plenty. And most people, because there was an abundance, an overabundance, would just live it up. But no, God told Joseph, to store, 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 prepare, 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 because there's a day coming when there's not going to be any. And I just about imagine all the people that was growing this wheat and stuff like this, their crops were coming in, they were flourishing. I mean, everything was just in abundance, and they were like, this is crazy. Why are we storing up all this stuff? Look at all the food we're raising. But when that first year of famine came, probably still didn't get to a lot of them, because they're like, well, we got stocked up. You know, we're stocked up because God tells us to stock up for a full year. That's in Deuteronomy. You can go look it up. He tells us our storehouses should last from season to season. That's a year. We should have enough stored for that. And when the second year came around, if you go read the story of Joseph in Genesis there, the people gave them their animals. They gave them their land. They gave them their money. They finally gave them their souls just to eat. And guys, it'll be no different in the near future in America. I had a vision. God shared some stuff with me back in the mid-1980s. This is over on Patreon, my story about what God shared with me in the mid-1980s as to what's coming in America. I stood in the pulpits of churches all across the South here, trying to tell people in the mid-1980s what was coming upon America. Some heeded the warning and made preparations. Most, I don't think that's going to happen. 1990s come, Danny C, nothing happened. 2000s come, nothing's happened. What we're seeing now is the exact things I told people in 1985 and 1987. I didn't give them a time frame. I just told them God told me it was coming, to prepare. You see, God likes to let his people know way in advance so they have plenty of time to prepare. Like Joseph when he was in Egypt. He gave him 7 years to build up food and to store up for the 7 years that there was not going to be any. And you see, guys, that's the point I'm trying to make today. Why are they not telling us? Because they don't want us to be prepared. They want us to be like the people of Egypt was. They want us to be where we have to sell them our land, where we have to sell them our animals, where we have to sell them all of our money, where we have to sell them our bodies, our soul. They want everything. That's why they're not telling you to prepare. Don't listen. Prepare like you've never prepared before. Because there's a heat coming upon this earth like you've never seen. There's a drought coming upon this earth like you've never seen. There's a famine coming upon this earth like you've never seen. These are things that are coming. And there's nothing we can do about it. It's going to happen. As a matter of fact, in the vision I had in the 1980s, I told people there's parts of America that's going to burn. Literally, there's certain states in the United States that's going to burn. They're the states that have been the most wicked. I'll tell you that. I'm not going to call them by name. I could. One's out in the far west. One's in the far northeast. One's in the far southeast. Guys, one's in the midsection of the country out west. I talked about these things in 1985 and 1987, where God showed me these things were going to happen. Those states are going to burn. And I'm not talking about from forest fires. I'm not going into any detail because that's not what this video is about. This video is about preparing. It's about getting ready for the unseen things that lie ahead. But most of all, what it's really about is making sure that your soul is taken care of. Because it doesn't matter how much you have stocked up, it don't matter how much you have stored up. If you gain the whole world and lose your own soul, what have you gained? Our life here upon this earth is but a short span of time compared to eternity. Eternity is forever. See, we can't grasp forever because all we know is time. But in eternity, time doesn't exist. It's just forever. I would whole lots rather spend this 70, 80, 90 years, whatever, 60, whatever it is that we live here upon this earth for God and accept Him as my personal Savior than I had to spend an eternity separated from His goodness and His grace. Guys, I don't know what else to say. Prepare for the unseen things ahead, but prepare your soul first. And then, once you have your soul prepared, then the Spirit can start dealing with you. The Spirit can start opening things up to you and showing you things. And then you can begin to understand the things of God. Because unless you're led of the Spirit, you cannot understand the spiritual things of God. That's in the Scriptures. Look it up. It's there. I'm not going to spoon feed people. I'm not going to sit here and give you every verse and every chapter and everything. It's there. Those that are led by the Spirit and filled with the Spirit, God teaches them through the Spirit. But those that are not cannot understand the things of the Lord. So guys, take time. Get your life right first. And once you get your life right, prepare for your family. Because the Bible teaches us that a person who doesn't take care of their family is worse than an infidel. It's important for us to take care of our families. Thank you guys from Deep South Homestead.